much. Man. God. This bird. That's right, we're composing for Ninja Gaiden. Specifically Ninja Gaiden 2. As you can see, this game is not beginner friendly. It's from an old era of games where they made them hard as balls for the simple fact that it extends the gameplay by you sitting there and having to memorize every waking moment until you beat the game, and you get the greatest endorphin release ever by realizing you never have to do this again. Except they did it 3 times and then rebooted it, but we're not talking about that, even though that game's great. I don't know about the second one and the third one and all that stuff, but like I said, we're not talking about that. The game's composer, wait, I should figure out how to say this dude's name. Keiji Yamagishi is known for his work on Tecmo's late 1980s and early 1990s NES titles. Yamagishi has been considered a pioneer of chiptune music, producing the soundtracks for numerous titles of the 8-bit era, and he's even done some stuff today. In Streets of Rage 4, when you fight the boss Nora, that's him. Today I chose to focus on Ninja Gaiden 2 because it has some of my favorite NES music ever. So, take a listen. You see what I'm talking about? It's kind of got this like rock composed on a guitar feel almost, but it varies. But it's very like it's very influential in what I go for in music nowadays. So, with that in mind, let's see if I can make something in the style of this game. Let's get it. Hey everybody, welcome to the music section, the composer section, the cool kids section, the green and black section. I'm going to go over these instruments and break down what makes a NES tick, okay? So first things first, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels. Square 1, square 2, a triangle channel, and 1 sample channel. That means that these samples right here cannot overlap. So none of these should overlap each other. And 1 noise channel, and these should not overlap. Okay? Okay. So now we got all of these channels. What do these sound like? Square, you know what a square sounds like. Square is like a square sounds like this, and it can be a little different. Triangle is generally soft. You can see up there at the top where it's got the CPU, there's a little wave that happens, and right here you see how this one these squares are more edgy and they're square. That's why it's called a square. So this one's a triangle, which means that the wave should be more or less like a triangle. It's not perfect because the NES triangle isn't really perfect. But it's kind of like a wave, almost a saw, but not. Okay, then we got the samples, which is, I just used some Super Mario 3 samples because Ninja Gaiden also uses samples, but they're pretty similar. I wish I had the samples. I need to find a place where I can get them all, but that's not the point. Noise. Very short, kind of clicky sounds, and the way that I'm using these, this more aggressive sound right here is hitting with the snare and sometimes accentuating like a light snare hit. So if we just play the snare in this, the noises, I'm just using that as a hi-hat. Obviously the bass drum is being a bass drum. I put them all on FX channel 5, so like I said, there's ways to adjust a square wave. Essentially, you got duty cycles, which will change the timbre of the instrument. Right now we have it on 50%. I'm not sure how accurate any of this is, to be fair. I think some of these are only Famicom, but either way, I mean, it's too precise for me to get into. Volume, this is how you get your instruments to increase in volume or decay or both. And pitch this is fine. This is like big pitch. So like if you want your shit to bend crazy, then you do that. Then fine pitch, I use this all the time for a little bit of vibrato. If you make it loop, you see this blue line here? That's where this volume is lower than this one, but it'll cycle between these two over and over and over. So when you hold a note, it sounds like vibrato. All right. This one has a different duty cycle, 75%. It decays, and then it loops between these two volumes. So if you hold this note, you can hear it kind of go, you know. You got the pitches just straight. It also vibratos, but you know, it's not. Ninja Gaiden doesn't do anything too crazy with its instruments per se. It does change them on the fly. I didn't do that, but I didn't feel it necessary for this song. As far as composition goes, I went with a faster pace, like 160. Usually a lot of songs are sort of like 120, 130, something like that. But 160, so we're going pretty quick. And then I noticed a lot of like arpeggios and stuff going on, so I got this little ditty here. And that goes on in the background, while on top there's always some kind of like almost oriental lead that has more rock fusion than I expected. I don't know if I actually captured any of that, but I did end up using, like, it just hits first, and then there's another note that's slightly quieter, so it sounds like it's echoing. And then, of course, the triangle is playing the bass. Usually, triangles play bass on NES. Not always. There's some exceptions to the rule, but in Ninja Gaiden they definitely followed that rule. So we just got a you know, just some bass lines going through, and there's Ninja Gaiden songs are pretty short. They're, you know, NES songs in general are pretty short unless you're playing something special, because, you know, memory is a thing. But a lot of it is very based on loops. So this is very short, actually. It's like, let's see here. It's basically a minute long, right? It's just a minute long before it loops. Or no. A minute and 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 12 seconds, whatever, before it loops, okay? And then I have to make it loop, or else the gods will come and slay me. So here it is. This is the song. I hope you guys like it. I had a lot of fun making it. I love making NES songs. I think it's very interesting, especially when people use the triangle. Like, they don't use samples, they use the triangle, and they use noise for all that stuff. But we didn't get into that in this one because Ninja Gaiden uses samples. But I love the NES. It always blows my mind how much people can get out of the NES. Anyways, let's get into it. Hey everyone, and welcome to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the song and the process. It was a good time, and I really want to do more NES games in the future. Before I forget, I wanted to clarify that the guy who composed for Ninja Gaiden 1 is a different person from the team who worked on 2. But I still think they used the framework from 1 to compose for 2, so it all works out in the end. My uploading schedule got a little bit weird there for a while as I was taking vacation to see my family for Thanksgiving. I had a great time seeing everything and eating a ton while I was out, but I wanted to settle on one video a week and some minor uploads in between. I think that would be a good standard. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Later.